Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2026 complete BMX bike lineup from Fit Bike Co. This is something that I used to do all of the time with different companies talking about all of their complete bikes each year. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot about it, but I just remembered and we're going to be doing it today for Fit's full lineup of bikes from the most expensive to the least expensive in all different sizes of bikes. So with that being said, we're on the buildingdistro.com. This is the shop for Fit and S&M, so you can buy any of their stuff in the same cart on one singular website. And we're on the bike section where the most expensive complete bikes from Fit are their 22s. So let's get a new tab open here to talk about the Series 22 Gloss Red. There are color options with this one as well. We can see the black silver fade here. And the first thing we see in the description is that these are available mid-October 2025 and to hit up your local Fit dealer for details. So it says in the description here, the perfect bike for anyone that's taken a break from BMX and wanting to get back into the sport or coming from the mountain bike world and looking for something a little bigger and more stable than a 20-inch. So that's because this is a 22, which is a larger bike, bigger wheels, just fits a little bit more comfortably for certain people in BMX. And I feel like the crowd of people who are wanting to get back into BMX are sometimes the people who like to hang out on this channel. So with that, this bike is $699.95, right at that $700 price point. You can see the red colorway on here. And let's scroll down a little bit to get to the specs. Real quick though, above that, you can see if you want to be notified when this is back in stock, you can enter your email address here. So it's a 22.13 top tube, 100% chromoly frame. It has integrated headset, sealed mid bottom bracket. They're two-piece bars. They are 9-inch rise, 29-inch wide. And the fork is a 100% chromoly fork with tapered legs, 33 millimeter offset, welded insert in there. That 33 millimeter offset is a more mellow offset on the fork, which means that it's going to feel more stable in the turning. Something like a 13 or a 25 millimeter offset fork is going to be a little bit more reactive in the turning and front end related tricks. Stem fit top load. Seat sheath pivotal from S&M with a 320 millimeter Long Johnson post. I also read in the description that it does have a quick release clamp on it on the seat post clamp. That's going to be nice for people who are buying this bike to just cruise around on and may want to change their seat height for riding to the spot and riding the spot itself. Aluminum sprocket, 30 tooth. They have tubular chromoly cranks at 175 millimeter. Trail alloy pedals, so it's got metal pedals. Double walled rims, sealed front female hub. Rear wheel is a double walled rim with a sealed 11 tooth cassette. So this is running 30-11 for the gear ratio. S&M speedball tire in the front and rear. The front tire is larger at 2.4 and the rear tire is 2.25. It does come with U-brakes, and it has a straight cable on it. Comes with a frame and crossbar pad as well, which you can see pictured here. Pretty awesome, and this bike, like it says, is perfect for somebody who's coming back into BMX, and the general consensus on this from reading the description is that this is also a bike that's going to hold up longer than something at a lower price point because it does have that 100% chromoly frame, fork. Let me check the bars again. Does not say. So at least it has the 100% chromoly frame and forks, the sealed integrated headset and mid bottom bracket with chromoly cranks, and an aluminum sprocket, double walled rims, sealed hubs. Basically, this bike is built to last just about as long as a complete bike is going to last most people. The bars could be something that you may look into replacing as a first thing because the rest of the bike is solid and the upgrades will come as you want them to less often than they will as something that's mandatory because something happened over time. So same deal is going to be with the black silver fade version of this bike. Everything I'm sure is going to be exactly the same. So now let's move on to the next bike on this list, the 2026 Nightwolf Tan 21-inch top tube. So this is to celebrate Fit's 25th anniversary, and this is a Nightwolf model, Mike Aiken's signature bike here. How sick is that? And so we're going to go down here and we're going to take a look. It says this is a very limited edition model available in 21-inch top tube only. Let's go down, take a look at the colors on this thing. So we've got that tan, I guess you could say. We take a look at the colorway on this bike. Looking good. A couple more pictures here. Got some wolf graphics on there. And let's go down to the specs. So as we said, it's a 21-inch top tube made for people who are going to be riding, dirt jumps, going fast in concrete skate parks, or maybe somebody who's just taller. With that 100% chromoly frame, the geometry is that this has a 74.5 degree head tube angle, which is generally more geared towards trails or going fast in a skate park, just meant to give you more stability and more feeling of control at those higher speeds. It does have a gyro tab holes in the frame. Let's see if we can find a picture. There we go. Gyro tab holes pre-drilled and threaded, so you can add a gyro to this if you want. Integrated headset, sealed mid bottom bracket, two-piece 9.25 inch by 30 inch wide bars, 100% chromoly fork, 33 millimeter offset that we just talked about with the 22, fit top load stem, fit pivotal seat with a 200 millimeter post, tubular chromoly 175 millimeter cranks, a fit saw 30 tooth sprocket, fit trail alloy pedals, double walled rim, sealed female front hub, double wall rim, sealed 10 tooth cassette. So this one is 3010. Fit OEM 2.4 inch tires. And then the same brakes come with this that came with the 22. And we can see here, if we look closer, that these are chainstay brakes, which are better actually for slowing down. This bike is basically the same level of quality as that 22 that we just talked about. It comes in at that $650 price tag, and it's something that if you want to buy a more higher end complete bike, this is something you're going to be looking at and considering here, because it has all of the highest specs except for the handlebars. And just like I said, for the 22, it's something that some people just want to swap out to because of preference or whatever it might be. It could be the first thing that you end up swapping out on this bike, if you even need to. Honestly, you may not even need to. So moving on from there, we have the Flow Chrome 21.25. So we just talked about a 21 in the Nightwolf. This Flow 21.25 is a longer bike for taller people or people who are more trails oriented or concrete skate parks. Same thing that we've just been talking about. Our new Flow models replace what we used to call the TRL or trail models. With the growing trend of dirt riders taking their trail riding to concrete and wood transitions too, we updated the bike accordingly. With stable geometry, chainstay mounted brakes, longer top tubes, longer cranks, and wider bars, these bikes are perfect for larger riders and equally at home going fast in the woods or concrete bowl. Longer tech grips with flanges and our alloy trail pedals work perfectly in all conditions, as do the semi-knobby 2.4 OEM tires, which work great on all surfaces, including dirt. If you're looking to go fast and blast, look no further and go with the Flow. So with that, this bike comes in at the $600 price point. And if we go down to the specs, we see what we're getting at this lower price point is a chromoly front triangle on the frame. So it's not 100% chromoly frame anymore. Same 74.5 degree head tube angle, same integrated headset with gyro tab holes, sealed mid bottom bracket is still there. These bars are lower at 8.7 inch rise and 29 inches wide. So these are the differences that you may consider. 100% chromoly fork, 33 millimeter offset, fit top load, fit seat, 200 millimeter post, tubular chromoly, 175 millimeter cranks, same sprocket, same pedals, This has the Fit S1W rim with sealed hub in the front, and the rear wheel is a double-walled sealed 10-tooth cassette. So the differences that we're seeing, let's run through the rest of the specs quick. OEM 2.4 tires, U-brake, same as the other bikes, chainstay brakes. So the differences between this bike and the previous for that $50 is that you're not getting the full chromoly frame and you're getting a single walled front rim. Everything else pretty much the same except for those slight geometry differences in the handlebars and the frame. You got the chrome frame as well, which is pretty sick. Chrome forks on there. So with that, that's what the difference would be for the $50 that you're not paying with this bike versus the Nightwolf. And my opinion, just to get this out of the way now, is that when it comes to complete BMX bikes, I used to kind of demonize anything that wasn't full chromoly, double-walled rims, sealed hubs, mid-bottom bracket, integrated headset, because I was suggesting to people that you should buy things once and be done with it. But the reality of that is that not everybody needs full chromoly everything, especially if we're talking about a parent who's buying a bike for a kid to see if they even like BMX. And so it's totally reasonable to buy something that is not full chromoly, not full sealed everything, double wall rims, everything, just to find out if you like it and replace the parts as you go. And if you saw my Fit Complete Bike series, that frame isn't full chromoly. The rims are single wall rims that are still on that bike today, and everything has been fine on it. And so the reality is that not full chromoly, the high tensile steel stuff, the front triangle being chromoly, can hold up very well for a period of time. It's not meant to be forever. And if somebody buys this, just go into it, not this, but if someone buys a bike that doesn't have full chromoly and all sealed, double walled, everything like I've been saying, you go into it knowing that you're going to be doing upgrades, or that this is like a trial for you and maybe you upgrade to a full custom bike over time. But it's going to be fine for a period of time. Just know that you're not buying this bike to ride it for 10 years and expect nothing ever to happen to it. No, you're buying a really good starter to let you know if you want to keep going with this. Series 1 Smoke Chrome. This one is a shorter top tube frame, 20.5 top tube. The Series 1 was our first frame when we started Fit back in 2000, and it's our most popular bike to date. For 2026, we've upgraded to a CNC machine integrated head tube and fully sealed bearing front hub. The S1 frame and fork has been lightened up and offered in 3 top tube sizes with corresponding handlebar and crank sizes. So, with that being said, it does list these differences right here. 20.5 inch head tube or top tube with a 8.7 inch rise bar with a 29 inch wide bar on there. The cranks are 165s. So when we're talking about this bike, we're talking about something that is made for either someone who knows they want to do technical riding and they want a shorter bike for spinning and things like tail whips to work easier for them, or someone who is smaller. And I have a full video talking about different heights and what frame and bike sizes correspond with those. You can find it on my channel. But with that being said, let's keep going down here because now we're getting at $35 less than the previous bike. And let's see what the spec differences would be for that. So once again, chromoly front triangle, Series 1 geometry, integrated with gyro tab holes like we saw previously, so you can put a gyro on here. Mid-sealed bottom bracket, we talked about the bars. Fork, chromoly steer tube, 33mm offset, so the same size in terms of offset. Fit top load stem, more padded integrated combo, 200mm post, so there's another difference. Tubular chromoly 165mm cranks, Fit key 25 tooth sprocket, plastic pedals here, S1 rims on both front and rear, but they do have sealed front and rear hubs, 2.4 OEM tires, and then that same U-brake on every bike that we've talked about. So with that, this bike is a little bit different in that you're getting a single-walled rim on the rear and an integrated combo seat. So it's not a pivotal seat. So you can't just change out the seat. You have to change out the post as well. So what are the differences between the $600 and the $565 bike that we're talking about now? That would be that you're no longer getting a full chromoly fork. Your seat is a combo seat, and you get a single-walled rear rim. That is what $35 difference gets you between these two bikes. Now, does that single-walled rear rim or the not full chromoly fork or combo seat matter a lot? In my experience, not a ton, but it is something that you're going to want to consider, because a single-walled rear rim is something that you're going to have to pay attention to more often as you're learning to ride. And maybe it could be worth looking at a different bike option that is higher spec, maybe that $600 bike, to get that double-walled rear rim. Something worth looking into, or you go into it knowing that you may upgrade quickly after getting the bike. Let's look at the next bike on this lineup. The 2026 STR or Street Army Green 20.5 top tube. So this is going to be a good one to compare differences on between the last bike, the Series 1, and this one, because they are $15 difference, but the same size top tube frame. So let's read this description a little bit. This is the first STR that we'll be talking about. From the frame/fork to the parts and the paint, every detail of our 2026 STR is street specific. The frame geometry features a short rear end and a taller standover and a steeper head angle. The brake mounts and cable guide are removable, and the forks feature a short 25mm offset and peg cuts. Our 2.4 F/U tires and double-walled rear wheel allow riders to run lower tire pressure. 4-piece bars, flangeless grips, and 4 metal pegs are a few other recognizable street components, with 2 top tube sizes to choose from. Both in very straightforward color options, our STR models are ready to answer the call when the streets are shouting. So you've heard some of the differences here. Now let's talk through them. This bike comes in at $550, and you can see this green colorway here. You can see the 4-piece bars. So the frame, chromoly front triangle, and it has thread-on brake mounts. I don't believe this did not say anything about thread-on brake mounts. So for someone who wants brakes on your bike and you know that, this could be something that you lean towards, knowing that they're welded on and your brakes are going to feel better for that. But if you don't want brakes and you know you're going to take them off, then that would lean you this way, because you know you can take them off and it'll have that clean look on the frame. So the geometry is street with a 12.6-inch chainstay. That is a short rear end, like it said, and it's something that is going to affect the feel of your bike. So if you're looking at the differences between these, you're already looking at something that's a bit different in terms of the way the bike is going to feel. Integrated headset, you can put a gyro on here, sealed mid-bottom bracket, 4-piece bars. They are taller bars than the other bike at 9 inches tall and 29 inches wide. Chromoly steer tube, 25mm offset forks, and that is going to mean that is more reactive for nose and front end tricks and a little bit in the steering category. Same in terms of quality. Fit top load, fit pivotal seat with 200mm post, tubular chromoly 165mm cranks, so the cranks are the same, alloy key 25-2 sprocket, fit plastic pedals, single-walled front rim with a sealed front hub, and a double-walled with a sealed 9-tooth cassette rear hub. Fit FU tires 2.4, has the brakes with it, and it comes with 4 pegs on there. And if I were to give my honest opinion comparing these two bikes together, I would say that this street at 20.5 is a better deal for you than the Series 1 at $565 versus $550. And there's a couple reasons for that. It would be that you're getting that double walled rear rim. So for literally $15 less, you're getting a double walled rim. You get 4 pegs with it. So that's a bonus. You're getting something you wouldn't have gotten with the other. You're getting that pivotal seat and seat post. So you won't have to swap out the entirety of the combo if you were to go with this one. And it has that alloy sprocket on it. So it's a little bit better there, but if we're talking about the geometry and things, you may look at the geometry and know that that's not what you want, and so you may choose this bike over it. But in terms of the complete bike, this is a solid option, and let's continue here. So there is also a 20.75 option. It said there was 2 size options, and this one comes in flat black. So it also has all of the same specs for this one as the previous. So you'd be just picking it for the size. We have the Flow in matte green, and I'm going to be curious to compare these 2 Flow models because this one comes in at $550 and it's a 21-inch top tube versus $600 of the Chrome Flow at a 21.25-inch top tube. And now let's go down to the specs. Chromoly front triangle, trail geometry that we previously talked about, integrated, you can put a gyro, sealed mid bond bracket. See, the bars are the same, 8.7 rise, 29-inch wide, 100% chromoly fork on this one, same as the previous. Fit top load, fit pivotal seat and 200mm post, same. Cranks are the same, 175mm chromoly. Fit saw 32 sprocket, same. Alloy trail pedals. Front rim is single walled, sealed female axle, same on both. Double walled rim, sealed 10-tooth cassette is the same. The tires are both 2.4-inch on both bikes. Chainstay brakes on both as well. So it seems that Chrome is probably just a more expensive color option because everything else is spec'd exactly the same on these 2 bikes. And if you want Chrome in 2025 or 2026, you're going to have to pay for it. It's so hard to do Chrome these days, and it's getting only more expensive. And I'm assuming that that's where this $50 price increase comes in at. But if we're talking about a bike in specs and value for the money at $550, I'm even going to take what I said about this street bike and apply it to this Flow matte green. If you are even remotely considering a bike for trails or riding fast in concrete skate parks, this could be a good one to look at because you're getting that 100% chromoly fork. You're getting the pivotal seat and everything that we've talked about with that. Double walled rear rim. It's just a great option in terms of the specs versus the price in this lineup so far. The Flow Terra Brown 21.25-inch option. I'm going to assume that everything with this bike is exactly the same as the previous 2 Flows that we talked about, except for the color. Yeah, it looks like if you want to get a fit Flow at 21.25 and you can't afford that $600 price tag, or you don't want Chrome, there is another option. This bike appears to be exactly the same as that bike, just with a Terra Brown colorway that is $50 less. We get to the park models. There's 2 of them here. And those park models are the Plum 20 top tube and the Oxford Blue 20.5-inch top tube. So the PRK model starts with its own frame/fork specifically designed for transition parks. This frame features a slightly shorter 12.6-inch rear end and a lower 7.25-inch standover height, a slightly more relaxed 75.3 head tube angle than our all-around S1 geometry. The Park fork features a more responsive 25mm offset, a peg clearance cut, and a longer 172 millimeter steer tube to accommodate the gyro. With two top tube lengths to choose from, 20 inches flat and 20.5 inches, both with 8.7 inch rise bars and their own crank lengths, 160 and 165 respectively, pivotal seats, alloy sprockets, and double-walled rear wheels round out our purpose-built park models ready for the great indoors or wherever you need a responsive bike ready to push boundaries on. So the differences between these two are going to be the top tube sizes and the crank lengths. Yes. Let's go through the full specs on them after we look at the colorway. This is the plum. It's a nice looking color, honestly. Graphics look good. The pedals match with that color in them. Yeah, looks pretty good. Oxford blue. This one looks sick. I love this with the chrome stickers, the blue, red, and the polished and chrome look to it. This bike is solid looking. Let's run through the specs. Frame, chromoly front triangle. Geometry, 12.6 inch rear end with the 75.3 head tube angle. It has a gyro on it already. Sealed mid bottom bracket, 8.7 inch rise bars that are 29 inches wide. Chromoly steer tube, 25 millimeter offset with that peg cut out. Fit top load stem, pivotal seat, and 200 millimeter post. Chromoly 160 millimeter cranks, alloy key 25-2 sprocket. Fit PC pedals, single walled front rim with a sealed front hub, double walled rear rim with a sealed 9-tooth cassette, OEM 2.4 inch tires, and the brakes. Of course, it does have that 172 millimeter steer tube on it to accommodate that gyro. The differences in this are highlighted here. 20.5 inches on this Oxford blue with the 165 millimeter cranks. The bars are the same, so the only differences are in the color, the top tube, and the cranks. And the difference in that would be that this could be meant for a smaller person, this 20-inch top tube. 20 inches flat is something you see in flatland and for kids who are just getting onto 20-inch bikes. 160 millimeter cranks are going to make it easier to pedal for a kid just getting onto a 20-inch bike. Price tag on these is both the same at $530. I think for what you're getting the same quality as a couple of these previous bikes at an even less price tag. So if you've already bought your kid a lower level bike and they're getting into BMX more and you want to buy them another complete bike and you're not quite ready to step up to something fully custom, then one of these mid $500 level bikes that we've talked about would be that perfect next step for when you're not ready to commit to something that is fully custom and top of the line, because you're getting higher quality components and more purpose-built geometry, or park direction, or more street direction, or more flow and trails direction. And that's great for somebody who is getting beyond that just starting out stage, because most people, when they're coming back to BMX or they're just starting out in general, are not going to need this purpose-built bike. You're getting on the bike for the first time and you're figuring out what your purpose and what you like as you're going. You don't quite know yet. So unless you really like the look or something, I would still recommend for someone who is just starting out, and unless you know you want to spend money and buy a bike that is higher end, to look at these lower levels that we're going to be talking about soon, because we've done this in order of most expensive to least expensive. And next in the lineup is something that I believe is not 2026. This is a bike that is on sale. They have a 29er. They've got a couple different colors on this, and it is a full-scale BMX machine for salty veterans of the two-wheeled battlefield or those just looking to cruise the streets. CRs are Moto Influence, 100% chromoly frame, 4-piece bars, 7-inch rise, fit top-load stem, S&M Sharpie shield railed seat, micro-adjust post, S&M Speedball tires, 22.4, double-walled alloy rims, sealed hubs, front and rear, 3-piece chromoly, cranks, 175 millimeters, 3617 gearing, V-brakes in the back, and some padding on the frame. If you're looking at something like this, here are all of the specs. Don't feel like I need to go super crazy in depth on these. These bikes have been out for quite a while, so there's a good chance you've already seen them. If not, go to the website and check them out. There's a couple different options of color on here: hurricane yellow and whiteout. So we're getting into another Series 1 at a lower price point. The Series 1 Gloss Blood Red 20.25 inch top tube at $470. That's quite a bit less than the $565 of the Smoke Chrome in 20.5 inch top tube. So what are we getting difference-wise in the specs? Well, this one obviously is 20.25. With that, it has shorter cranks, 160 millimeters, and the same bars at 8.7 inch rise, 29 inches wide. Scroll down to the specs: chromoly front triangle, Series 1 geometry. You can put a gyro on it. Mid bottom bracket, same bars we talked about. Chromoly steer tube, 33 millimeter offset, fit top load. It has the integrated combo with the 200 millimeter post for the seat. Tubular chromoly 160 millimeter, fit key 25-2 sprocket, fit PC pedals, single walled rims front and rear with sealed hubs front and rear as well. 2.4 inch OEM tires, and the brakes are on there. So with that, what's the difference? It looks like chromoly front triangle, you get same forks, same seat, same stem. You have the same rims and everything. It really does look like the chrome is the cost on these bikes that are chrome and a bit more expensive. And if you want chrome, you're gonna have to pay for it. It's plain and simple with that. Gloss cream for a Series 1. And this one is a 20.75 inch top tube with 170 millimeter cranks and 9 inch rise with 29 inch wide bars. So we are getting differences here with the geometry on the bars, the frame, and the cranks, as well as you get the size or the color on the frame. That looks really nice, honestly. I like that with those graphics. Looks good. Same in terms of frame spec, headset. You can put a gyro on it. Same bottom bracket. The bars we set are different. Same forks, stem, seat. Cranks are longer. Sprocket pedals are the same. Rims and hubs are the same. Tires and brakes are the same. This is going to come down to pretty much height of the person or knowing what you want in terms of geometry for the frame, bars, or the cranks. And honestly, I just talked about how the specifics are something you probably won't know if you're just getting a bike for the first time, and you're going to be basing these things off of your height. And it may come down to a color difference. If you want a different color and you don't really care about the size, the price between these Series 1s, except for the smoke chrome, is all the same. Gloss black in 20.75. This is the same size as the previous bike we just talked about, and scrolling through the specs, everything is exactly the same. So you pretty much just have color options if you are going for a 20.75 here. And we're stepping into the different size bikes here. First up, we have the Misfit 16. These two bikes are the exact same price at $444.95. And I'm assuming the specs are all going to be exactly the same, and it is just a color choice that you're going to be picking from. With younger riders pushing the level of riding, smaller bikes need to keep up. The Misfit 16 is the smallest bike in our line to feature a fully sealed integrated headset utilizing CNC machine head tube, also drilled for thread-on gyro tabs. Headset rests inside head tube rather than press in cups to avoid broken cups or lower cup shifting when a fork is bent, causing a tight spot in your headset. Also drawing influence from its aftermarket counterpart, we've lightened up the frame and fork for 2026, creating a bike as limitless as a rider's imagination. So, it is a 16-inch bike. You can reference my video about bike sizing for the height of a kid who this would be made for. But let's go in here. 16.25-inch top tube, chromoly top and down tubes. You can put a gyro on it. Sealed mid bottom bracket. Love to see that. 7-inch rise, 24-inch wide bars. 31 offset chromoly steer tube fork, which says it's new. Mini top load stem, integrated combo seat. Tubular chromoly 127 millimeter cranks. The Fit Bite 24-tooth sprocket. Pedals are nylon platform 9/16 pedals. Single-walled 20-hole wider single-walled rim, as I said, unsealed hub, but the rear is a 20-hole single-walled with a sealed 9-tooth cassette. Fit OEM 2.25-inch tires. It does come with a U-brake, and it has 17 millimeter rear axle nuts, as they wanted to point out. So now basically what we just need to do is compare this to the gloss black. Everything on this bike is exactly the same. So when it comes to a 16-inch in the Fit 2026 lineup, you are just picking color options at this rate. So not much more to say about that. Just know you're getting into it for this petrol blue or this gloss black. Cool sticker on the front of that. That is sick. Little Tiki Man Fit symbol. And the front on this one is a little bit different with like a comic book style to it. Next up on the lineup is the 18-inch bikes. These come in at just $5 cheaper than the 16s at $439.95. Taking input from our team riders and constantly manufacturing and testing new prototypes has kept all the Misfit bikes ahead of the pack for years. Foundation of the Misfit line has been dialed in geometry and dimensions that are well proportioned. To improve the already popular 18-inch bike for 26, we've lightened up the frame and added a CNC machined integrated head tube with gyro holes, lightened up the fork and reduced the rake to 31 millimeters while adding a welded insert for headset tensioning. With more and more 18-inch bikes hitting the streets, we've upgraded the rear axle to a larger and wider 14 millimeter by 170 millimeter model for peg use. That's pretty cool to see. Our Misfit 18 was designed and built to ride everything. This is jungle green. Got that cool Tiki Man on the front of there with the jungle color. This one looks sick, honestly. Then gloss black in that comic book style that we talked about before. So let's take a look at the specs here. I'm assuming they're going to be exactly the same, just like the 16s. 18-inch chromoly top and down tube. Integrated, you can put a gyro on this bike like was mentioned. Let's see, sealed mid bottom bracket, 8-inch rise, 27-inch wide bars. They are two-piece, 31 millimeter offset fork we talked about with the chromoly steer tube, mini top load stem, same seat and post as the 16. This is the integrated combo, tubular chromoly cranks, 145 millimeters this time. Then we got Fit Bite 24-tooth sprocket, nylon platform 9/16 pedals, single-walled rims front and rear. These are 36-hole though, instead of 20 like the 16, and has an unsealed hub in the front with a sealed 9-tooth cassette in the back. Fit OEM 2.3-inch tires, and it does have a U-brake on it, and we mentioned the axle, so you can use pegs on this bike. Now let's look at the gloss black. Yes, everything is exactly the same. Once again, this just comes down to a color choice for you. They have a 26-inch complete that has been out for quite some time. Not going to talk too much about this, but it is on sale for $440. Now we've got 14-inch bikes. We know these are going to be the same with just the color options being different. These aren't available, the peachy one, until October 2025. So you're going to have to hit up your local Fit dealer for details. But for 2026, we've lightened up the 14-inch frame and fork, increased the crank length from 95 to 105 millimeters. Making our Misfit bikes properly proportioned for younger riders has been a goal of ours for years, and although they're not obvious at first glance, little details like the crank length and a 23:9 gear ratio make a big difference for riders. Makes total sense. Small diameter handle grips and a short reach brake lever help keep young riders in control. Low tension U-brake springs and a linear brake cable make slowing down easier, while longer 200 millimeter seat post for 2026 allows for more adjustability. We also have switched from 19mm rear axle nuts to 17mm to allow riders to use smaller diameter pegs. A lot of small details making for one big improvement. So things like the gear ratio and crank length definitely have an impact on this stuff. So when you make the cranks longer at 105mm, it makes it, I'm assuming, better proportion for a kid who's, if they're riding a 14, they're going to be taller than a kid riding a 12, and they might need a longer crank than 95mm. And then also having the 23:9 gear ratio, I'm not sure what the difference was, but assuming they're just making it better for a younger kid to be able to ride this bike. So let's scroll down after looking at the color. This is a graphic. The bikes haven't come in yet, so they haven't taken the pictures, but it is that comic book graphic. Haven't been able to take the pictures, to be more correct. So top tube size is 14.25 inches. Chromoly top and down tubes. 1 1/8 inch A headset. Should be fine there. 6-inch rise, 21-inch wide bars. This also has a mid-sealed bottom bracket. It has that 31mm offset fork with a chromoly steer tube, mini front load, same seat and post combo as the previous bikes. Chromoly tubular cranks, 105mm. Sprocket is that Fit Bite at 23 tooth, nylon platform 9/16 pedals, single wall rims, front and rear, unsealed hub on the front, sealed 9-tooth cassette in the back, 2.1-inch OEM fit tires, and it's got the brakes on it with the 17mm rear axle nuts. So we have Peachy and Jade. So the A headset you can see in this picture is a little bit different than the integrated headset that we've been talking about. Totally fine for a 14-inch bike for a kid. The specs are all exactly the same, and this is, again, a color choice between the two. And if you want something that's available right now and not mid-October, well, this Dark Jade 14 would be your option. 12-inch bikes, we have two options once again. Going to be color choices, the Cocoa Mint and the Gloss Black. These are 12-inch bikes. Says, with our 2026 Misfit 12, we've made moving from a balance bike to a pedal bike easier than ever by lightening up the frame and fork, dialing in the handlebar and crank dimensions, and adding an easier to pedal 23-tooth sprocket, small diameter handle grips, and short reach brake lever to help keep younger riders in control. Low tension U-brake springs and a linear brake cable make slowing down easier, while domed axle nuts and stem bolts eliminate sharp edges for those occasional mishaps. Quick release seat clamp allows seat height adjustments on the fly, while curved valve stems make airing up to 12-inch tires easier. With two colorways to choose from, each being their own graphic style, we've got a first pedal bike perfect for your little Misfit. So it's got chromoly down and top tubes, 13-inch top tube there. It's got the A headset from the previous bike we talked about, sealed mid bottom bracket. How crazy is that? A 12-inch bike still has a sealed mid bottom bracket. That's cool. Two-piece, 4.5-inch rise, 19.75-inch wide bars, chromoly steer tube fork, mini front load with rounded bolts, 25.4mm by 160mm flatter and more padded integrated combo, tubular chromoly 95mm cranks, Fit Bite 23-tooth sprocket, nylon platform 9/16 pedals, single wall rims front and rear, they're 16-hole, unsealed hub with domed nuts in the front, and sealed 9-tooth cassette with domed nuts in the back. 2.1-inch Fit OEM tire with the brakes on there. It's pretty sick that a 12-inch bike these days still has U-brakes on it. The same brakes that could go on any of our bikes as adults could go on these kids' bikes that are 12-inch bikes. You could put Alienation Vice Grip brakes on a 12-inch bike. I hope somebody does it just because they can. But with that being said, you have those two color options. We'll have better pictures at some point in October of the Cocoa Mint. It hasn't come in yet, clearly. And with that, these bikes are $410. Misfit balance bike in Tiki Red or gloss black. If you're noticing a theme, gloss black is available for a lot of these. It's all about balance, right? Which is why we've designed our Misfit balance bike to look and ride as much like a full-size BMX bike as possible, but paired it with safety grips, dome axle nuts, and vertical rear dropouts to keep it safe for your little Misfit. The TIG welded frame with foot pegs, 2-piece bars, and a front load stem makes things look legit, while a quick release seat clamp for seat height changes on the fly and a curved valve stems for easy pump access make life easier on mom and dad. Look, we'll guarantee it. Get your kids started on this Misfit and you're going to lay the groundwork for having a little shredder on your hands in no time at all. Look at that bike. It does look legit with the front load stem on there. That's so sick. And 2-piece bars. Little 2-piece bars. It's just a badass looking bike, and it's got Fit branded tires, TIG welded steel frame. It's a balance bike. It's got the 1-inch A headset on it. This stuff doesn't matter for the size of kids that are going to be riding these bikes. You're getting your kid a super legit balance bike at $255. It's going to look sick, and you're going to be the cool parent at the skate park. And then we've got the gloss black, which is the comic book theme. So with all of that being said, Fit has a range of complete bikes from $700 at the top end to $255 at the bottom end. In terms of 20-inch complete bikes, it goes from $470 to that $650 price tag, and specs are mixed throughout. None of these bikes are bad bikes, and to be totally honest here, even that $470 Series 1 level is not the lowest of the low that you could get for a complete BMX bike in terms of price. It is super affordable and the specs are great, and everything that they have to offer on here is quality. And so with that being said, I want to push everyone watching this video that if you have a local bike shop that is a Fit dealer, even if you're buying a complete bike that's not a Fit, if you have a local bike shop, buy your complete bike from them first. Call up your local bike shop, ask if they can deal S&M or Fit, ask for the bike that you want, let them know. And if and only if you have a local bike shop that refuses to take your money, or you don't have a local bike shop, I want to let you know that Dan's Comp does sell a lot of these 2026 complete Fit BMX bikes. Got them on my shirt here. They support this channel and they have a discount code where you can save 10% on anything you buy from Dan's Comp. So first of all, pay full price, go to a local bike shop and buy your bike there. But if you absolutely can't, you can go over here. They have the Series 1, the PRK, the Misfit 18s, as well as the Nightwolf and the Flow and the Street bike. They have a lot of the 20-inch options and then both 18-inch options for the bikes. So you can save a little bit of money if you don't have a place to buy, but I'm going to tell you again, go buy from your local bike shop if it is possible. With that being said, that is the 2026 complete bike lineup from Fit Bike Co. It's rad to see that there's so many options here. And if you have any questions about geometry or what's right for you or how to know, I have plenty of videos that you can go find. If you leave a comment down below, I would be happy to help you out if I can. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time. Let me know which company I should take a look at their complete bikes for next. See ya.